new mega poll has reform to win the biggest political landslide in over a century. Now, with the Greens becoming the official opposition, it's a Halloween nightmare on Downing Street for both Labour and the Conservatives, with the Tories now astonishingly tied in sixth position on the same number of seats as Jeremy Corbyn's your party. Chris, let's go through some of the numbers with you before we go to our next guest. Let's get the seats up on the screen if we could. This, quite simply, would be the biggest political landslide in more than a century. Yes. It would put Reform on a majority of 194, bigger than Tony Blair. You've got to go back to 1924 to get a majority bigger than that. It's a horror show for the Conservatives, down to 14 seats. Labour, 34, and the emergence of the Green Party as the new political party of opposition. It's a topsy-turvy world, the likes of which we've never seen anything like it before, Chris.
No, we haven't. And look at that, the number of votes for Reform UK. Just 31% of the votes can give them 422 MPs. That's because, and we saw a similar thing in last year's election, when I think Labour won at 1% more than that, but got a very shallow but a big landslide. The way the first past the post works is if you get over a certain level, the whole thing flips and you can get a landslide with quite a low number, relatively low percentage of votes compared to historic. And don't forget what Jeremy Corbyn got. He was up near 40%, I think, back in 2017. So it's happened before. But look at the Tory party, down to 14. Many of them think that 120 is the bottom. It may not well be by a factor of 10. And look at Labour, down to 34. This is a revolution being forecast by this polling. Again, just one poll, yes. Don't forget. But if this happens, we are about to go through an extraordinary time in politics in 3.5 years' time.
And let's get the political map up there, the predictor. I fed this data into the electoral calculus website and it gave us this. Look at that. It's a turquoise takeover of the majority of the country. And in the bottom right of the screen there, look at London. London, a country within a country. And Chris Hope, astonishingly, for the first time here, the Labour Party on 21 seats in London on less than the Green Party and the Independents, the Corbynistas, in London on 25. It's a total political reset of London. If you know these constituencies, if you know the demographics, there is a clear ethnic and religious movement. Harrow West, Ealing North, Ealing South, a lot of ministers losing their jobs. By the way, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, would lose his seat. The first sitting PM in British history, he would lose his seat to the Green Party.
There's no question that Labour have got to get a grip and start delivering for people. I mean, I've been talking to senior people all week from the Labour government. They know, they recognise this need to deliver on what they promised to do. This failure to do so, they've almost sleptwalked for the first 6 months or first few months ahead of the budget. Since then, they can't get the economy growing. They're going to push up taxes probably next month, maybe increase income tax. That will be breaching a key line in the manifesto. It's happened before. Of course, the Tories breached their manifesto pledges back in 2019 because of the COVID pandemic. I think Labour might claim something similar along the lines of the Brexit issue is so much worse than they thought. You will contest that, of course, and you will do on your show, Martin, but they will say that to try and get that over the line and not be punished by the electorate. But these broken promises mount up, and of course the voters think, why should we trust the two main parties? Why not give Reform a go? Well, and challenging that is a challenge for Labour and the Tories.
Well, they can say it's Brexit, what Rexit? How about looking in the mirror and taking some responsibility? Chris, thank you very much.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Get to my next guest now, and I'm joined by the Labour activist Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha, it's a pleasure to have your company. Thank you for patiently listening in. I particularly wanted to talk to you about this incredible emergence of what's looking like a new opposition movement, the Green Party, added to the Corbyn Party, the Your Party. Add all that together, you have something bigger in this poll, only one poll, bigger than the combined vote of the Conservatives and the Labour Party. Something extraordinary is happening out there. Why?
Yeah, I was as surprised as everybody else. This poll is a very recent one. It's kind of gives you almost like a latest snapshot. But when you actually just break it down, can I just say that only 3,065 people took part in this poll. So when you actually look at it, it's not really representative. I think, but in general terms, I think the feeling that people have right now, they are feeling frustrated and annoyed. And I think just before a big budget, just before the announcements coming up in the next few weeks, tax increases and so on, I mean, the Greens have systematically said that they would not raise tax. In fact, they're trying to lower taxes and also tax the billionaires. So I think those are the sort of messages that are really appealing to the younger people, the younger sort of potential voters in the next between 2.5 and 3.5 years, actually. So it is going to be very interesting. And, you know, they say a week is a long time in politics. Well, anything could happen. Obviously, we've just, your guests were talking about Zara Sultana, the Your Party, the New Party, sorry, Jeremy Corbyn. Who knows if that's going to be around in 2.5 to 3.5 years? It may well be. There might well be another party. We have no idea. But right now, I think people are frustrated with the Labour Party. They still have the confidence and trust they had with the Conservatives hasn't really come back. And I think that they're just looking for alternatives. They're looking for what else is out there. And let's give these guys a shot. Let's try this, because we've tried everything else and nothing seems to be working. So I think it's quite interesting. And I myself have no idea the prediction. I can't even predict what's happening next week, which news scandal is going to happen next week. So I have no idea, but it's going to be really interesting.
Aisha, I want to talk to you about the emergence. And when you look at this, I've been into this data for several hours this morning. And you're right, it is only one poll, but there is a consistent pattern now emerging over the weeks. And there is a definite trend. And it's this. We are seeing the emergence of voting along sectarian religious lines. When you look at some of the constituencies here, East Ham, Brent, some of the most heavily populated Muslim parts of London, allied to places that you know well, Bradford East, Bradford West, Blackburn, Oldham. We are seeing a lot of these areas where there's a big percentile of the Muslim population voting for these new parties. Would you concur and admit this is showing us Nigel Farage was right? We are now seeing the emergence of sectarian politics in Britain.
Well, it's actually interesting because I've spoken to quite a few people. I work with young people. I have young people in my family, and this was the first time this election gone. Last year was the first time many of them had voted, and they were really interested in politics and what's going to happen. And there does seem to be a huge uptick in support for reform, especially amongst young Pakistani boys. And I was on a panel with Lee Anderson a few months ago, and we had a really interesting conversation about this. And it feels like the young people, they're annoyed, they're angry, they're frustrated. Living costs are so high, they can't buy a house, they can't even afford to heat their homes. Everybody's really concerned. And I think those are the people that are really, and it's not just Pakistani boys, by the way, we're talking about other communities, the Bangladeshis, the white working class and so on. They all feel they've been left behind, and they're looking looking for new solutions, and they're looking for people that are speaking their language, that are listening to them, and are willing to change and put in policies that are going to help these people. So yeah, so we could well see a huge increase in Pakistani communities voting for reform for the first time, and that's going to be a huge change. So this idea that we've had, obviously, I've been campaigning against Baradri politics, or the idea that you have to vote in a certain way because of your family or where you are from Pakistan. I've been fighting against that for 13 years when a certain MP came to Bradford West, and upset the local Labour vote. So I feel that now, especially amongst the younger generation, especially those who are really invested in their future and actually understand the political process, I think we're going to see a huge difference, a huge upset coming up in the next few years.
I think you're entirely right. People, they really do want change, whatever that may be, something fresh from the left, something fresh from the right. And I'll tell you what a piece of information that is. Young Pakistani lads voting for Nigel Farage. Now, perhaps that's a plot twist no one saw come in. Aisha Ali Khan, thank you as ever for joining us on GB News. Superb. Thank you.